Okay, thank you all so much for being here this afternoon and joining us for today's session that is designed just for you, just for Arts Liaisons. We're really excited to see some new and I see some familiar faces out there too. My name is Courtney Cintron. I use she, her, aya pronouns. I am Ingenuity's Director of Partnerships and Learning. And I'm also joined here by today's facilitator and my colleague at Ingenuity, Angela Lynn.
Hi, everyone. I'm the Director of Data and Research at Ingenuity and so happy to be joining you all here today. And so Courtney and I will be walking through this artlook session. And sorry, my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Okay, great. And today's session is really about getting everyone oriented and aligned on some important upcoming initiatives this fall that are key to the arts liaison role, and also about how Artlook, Ingenuity's online arts education database, can support you in these various initiatives, activities in your role. So before we get further into the session, though, we like to just acknowledge that this virtual classroom is taking place on the stolen land of the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, and Odawa nations. Because of the Great Lakes, the land became a site of travel, of healing, and of trade and gathering for more than a dozen other Native tribes, and it's still home to over 100,000 tribal members in the state of Illinois that have stewarded this land throughout generations and still practice their traditions and care for the land. So as we begin, let's just honor these ancestral grounds that we're on, support the resilience, the strength, and leadership that all Indigenous people have shown worldwide, and also rethink our own relationship with the land and its original peoples. Got a little sun glare coming in there. Okay, so moving to the next slide here. Just a couple of quick notes for you. If you would like, we do invite you to feel free to update your name with your personal pronouns or your school name in this case. I think it says Oregon there. Also, today's session will be recorded and it will be available in a couple of weeks on Ingenuity's YouTube channel. So in case you want to check back, we will have that available, but it might be a couple of weeks before that happens. Also, closed captioning is available if needed. You can just click on the CC or the live transcript option at the bottom of your screen and it should prompt you. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at the agenda so you know what's coming. So our goal, once again, for today is just to make sure that you know what key liaison activities are coming up this fall and how to use Artlook to support those initiatives. So we'll start off with a quick look at the liaison role in case you're new or unfamiliar. We'll take a look at the fall timeline and what initiatives we're exactly talking about. And just briefly, they include the Creative Schools Survey, applying for the Creative Schools Fund, and the Fall Arts Education Summit. And then we'll jump into providing you with an overview of Artlook and discuss once again how it's going to help make all of these things happen and what to expect year round. And finally, we'll leave a little bit of space for questions for you. Okay. So a quick look at being an arts liaison. So this is just going to be super high level, but if you are new to the role and you would like additional resources and information, I highly suggest that you take a look at the CPS Arts Liaison Toolkit. We'll drop a link to that in the chat for you here. Let me just copy.
I can do that.
Oh, thanks, Angela. Awesome. So arts liaisons are school arts leaders and champions, and just about every school in the district has an arts liaison. So arts liaisons, as you might already know, are connectors, they're communicators between their schools, between CPS Arts, Ingenuity, and also community arts organizations. And your primary role, just at a super high level, is to ensure that your school has access to all of the arts related information and opportunities across all artistic disciplines. And liaisons also act as advocates for the arts in their school and in the district by seeking out actionable ways to expand and improve arts education, once again, in your school community. And we're going to be sharing a lot of those opportunities with you today to give you more of a sense of that. But once again, if you're looking for a more in-depth kind of overview of the technicalities of the role and just a more in-depth understanding, definitely click that link that Angela dropped in the chat. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the Arts Liaison fall timeline here. So here, once again, a peek of the opportunities taking place in the fall that are going to help you expand arts access in your school community. So first we have the Creative Schools Survey. Angela is going to go into more detail. This is just giving you a quick snapshot. All you really need to know right now is that this is an annual survey period where liaisons across the district share arts education information about their school with Ingenuity via artlook. And we'll talk about what artlook is. So if you don't know, that's okay right now. The survey is currently open and closes on September 23rd. So once again, don't worry, we'll come back to it. Then we have the Creative Schools Fund. The Creative Schools Fund grant supports teacher designed and led arts education programs in Chicago Public Schools. Applications for that are currently open and close on October 28th for the first cycle. Once again, we'll come back to that. And finally, we have the Arts Education Summit, which is an important time for CPS teachers and arts organizations to rebuild connections and partnerships. And that's taking place on September 28th, and it's going to be in person, and we haven't done an in-person summit in years. So we're really excited about that, but we'll talk more. So let's zero in on these 3 initiatives a little bit more.
So I'll start us off on the Creative Schools Survey. So thank you, Courtney, for sharing that timeline. And so the Creative Schools Survey, if you have received an email, it is already open. For those that may be unfamiliar, this is an annual survey sent out to every school in CPS, and it collects information about your school's arts programming offerings from the prior school year. And so I did underline that here. Just want to clarify that when you are filling out the survey, it is for 2021 to 22 school year. And so keeping that in mind as you answer the questions. In general, where can the survey be found? It can be found by logging into artlook, and we will be demoing that in a bit. The Creative Schools Survey is really important for a number of reasons. And for one, when you complete your survey, your school will get a $1,000 Arts Essentials grant from the Department of Arts Education. This $1,000 can be used for supplies and materials, and it will be automatically loaded into your school's budget later this fall. And so there's no additional steps needed once you've completed your school survey. It's simply that I think we are planning to roll these out in late October, maybe early November. And so those will just be automatically loaded. In addition, completing the Creative Schools Survey also qualifies you for applying for Creative Schools Fund or CSF grants. There will be a slide upcoming on more information on CSF grants. And so what you're seeing at the top is the Creative Schools certification. The data from your Creative Schools Survey is also going to be what flows into the calculation of your school's Creative Schools certification. There are 5 categories here, you can see them. And apologies for the dog barking in the back. From left to right, we have excelling, strong, developing, emerging, and then if the school does not complete the survey, they are rated as incomplete data. There's a lot of reasons why this indicator is really important. We also will have an upcoming roadmap that will share your school's score to your principal as well as you. And so this is just a quick overview at the survey, and we will be showing how you can access this later on. I'll pass it on to Courtney to talk a little bit more about roadmaps.
Yeah, so essentially what Angela said, but schools that complete their surveys will receive a new customized report that we've developed that will outline your school's Creative Schools Survey results and responses, and also compare those to other schools in your network as well as in the district overall. It's also been created to help you identify what your school's strengths are in terms of arts access, and also determine what areas there are for growth and opportunity in your school. And you can expect those to go out in December to both arts liaisons and principals via email. Okay, so the Creative Schools Fund grant, some of you might be familiar. As I mentioned earlier though, the grants support teacher designed and led arts programming in CPS. As we have here on the screen, this year we're going to have 2 application cycles, one in the fall, which is currently open and closes in October, and one in the winter that opens in January. So the fall cycle is focused specifically on partnership grants. So it's a good time to connect with some new arts organization partners on programming possibilities, what they might look like for the year. Schools do need to be the lead applicants for the grant, but you can of course receive some support from your organization partners. The winter cycle this year will prioritize grants for in-school supports. So areas such as disciplines in depth, dedicated art spaces, and minutes of instruction. And there are also, I would say, some really new and exciting parameters for the fund, including the opportunity for multi-year grants that will support a longer timeline for implementation, as well as greater grant sizes to support partnerships across multiple years. For more information, I think Angela can drop in the chat here if you have a link available, but you want to visit the Creative Schools Fund page, and that will give you an overview of the guidelines as well as a link directly to the application. Okay, awesome, that's already there. And there are also some info sessions coming up for the Creative Schools Fund where you will hear directly from that team and you can ask more granular and specific questions. Once you kind of open up the application, you might have more specific things to ask about. And we'll go over what dates those are available on in just a little bit. But finally, on the next slide here, yep, there we go. Finally, if you're interested in applying for a fall Creative Schools Fund grant and interested in doing that for a partnership, or you just want to connect with an arts organization and build a partnership, you should definitely plan on attending the Fall Summit again. So we haven't hosted one in years, but it's a key time to cultivate relationships with new arts organizations, to talk to them about their programs, to find strategic ways of bringing community arts organizations into your school, and to really meet your school interests and needs in the arts. There's also food, there's drink, there's an opportunity to be entered into a drawing to win up to $2,000 for your school to support arts partnerships. So we'll be doing a drawing for a total of $30,000 altogether. So make sure to register for that. Angela just dropped the link in the chat.
Thanks, Courtney. And then also we will be sending out these slides afterwards, including all the links, but we'll continue to drop links into the chat as well. Okay, thank you, Courtney, for going through those fall initiatives. So now we're going to segue into how you can use artlook to help a lot of those, whether or not it's some of the fall initiatives and as well as your work year-round as an arts liaison. And so going through here, if you have heard the term but aren't exactly familiar with what it is essentially a data sharing platform that allows communities to work collaboratively and strategically to deliver high quality arts education experiences to every child in every grade in every CPS school. There are three aspects of artlook. There's the public facing map, which anyone, including those outside of Chicago, can access, and that is at the link chicago.artlookmap.com. This map, which we will also be demoing, allows you to look for information at schools and partner organizations. For your purposes as an arts liaison, you will be utilizing the school portal to log in and update your information, as well as access the Creative Schools Survey. The partner portal is a similar analog, but for partner organizations, in which they will log in and update their profile so that you can look at partner programming across the city. So who should have an account on artlook? It should be all of you. Every arts liaison in CPS should have access to artlook. And we will also diagnose and troubleshoot if there are any login problems. And so as the arts liaison, you'll have access to your school portal. It will be linked to your school profile and you can make updates within it. And so let's also go through now so you can see how it kind of works and what we're expecting you to try to attempt today too. So the school portal, here is a page that will be included in the PDF. I will not be reading this out loud. I will just show you instead, but it will be instructions on how to recover your login. And so hopping over to a different tab, excuse me as I move the screen a little bit, I will be hopping onto this tab. So here I am on the public facing page page, chicago.artlookmap.com. Where you will head to log in is going to be clicking the school's login button. From there, you'll see this page, and there are two different pathways depending on your email address. If your email address ends in cps.edu, please use this first option, sign in with CPS. It will bring you directly to the CPS portal, and you just input your CPS credentials of username and password to log in to get into Artlook. You no longer need a separate Artlook password if you have a CPS email address. Going back here though, if you do use the CPS pathway, sign in with CPS, and you get an error message of an account not found, please email us at artlook@ingenuity-inc.org, which Courtney will include, and we will essentially link your CPS account to an Artlook one. And so that's just something that we can help troubleshoot and resolve really quickly on our end. If you do not have a CPS email address, please click sign in with email. If you click here, you'll enter your school name, email, and then password at the bottom. If you're not sure what your password is, there is a forgot password workflow, and here you'll input your email address. Once you input it, you will get an email from noreply@artlookmap.com. This is more likely than not to end up in your spam or junk inbox, so I recommend that you check there too. And within that, there will be a URL showing you how to reset your password. If you do not receive a password email, a reset password email, that means you actually don't have an account registered on our back end. And so in that case, we're going to keep mentioning this, but just email us at artlook@ingenuity-inc.org, and we can quickly set up an account for you on the back end. So going back here, that is the login site. And now I am going to walk through a few more items before we demo it. And so if you are an arts instructor, you will also be granted access to what we have now is Artlook Educator. This is a relatively new platform. This was worked on in collaboration with CPS, the Department of Arts Education, and it was launched in the fall of 2021. And so we're really excited to have a full school year launching now in 2022-23. It is a relatively new platform, and this is essentially a forum for connecting CPS arts instructors so that you all can connect with one another and share resources. If you are an arts educator, you will be granted access to this, and you can connect with any other arts teacher, regardless if they are an arts liaison across the district. Through Artlook Educator, you can also join communities of practice. We have heard some constructive feedback on how to improve user experience, and so we are actively working on that. For example, we do have some updates to our notifications that should be rolled out within the next month. And so we are really happy to continue hearing your feedback and working on to improve this platform. So now we're going to do a live drive. I'll do a quick view. I will show you where you can access your Creative School Survey, which has now been launched on August 31st, where you can find Artlook Educator if you're an arts teacher. And then these top ones you can see for school overview, partnerships and interests. This is linked to your Artlook profile and is not directly included in the Creative School Survey. And so I will now be demoing through a fake account I set up. So just give me 1 second while I sign in. Once you're able to log in and using the process I shared earlier, this should look pretty similar to what you all see. The difference will just be this red banner at the top, and I am within a fake school account. And so here, again, if you are an arts teacher also, you will have this extra tab show up for educator. If you're an arts liaison, but you're a principal or administrator or non-arts teacher, you will only see the school tab. And if you log in but don't see educator, that means our permissions have been incorrectly set on the back end. Again, just email us and we can resolve that very quickly. When you log in, you should all at minimum be able to see the school tab. And here, these are the main sections you'll see is Artlook Map Profile and Survey. I'm going to start with the survey. So again, this is looking at the past year for 2021 to 22. If you have already started the survey, it'll say resume. If you haven't opened it yet, it'll say get started. And so I'll demo very quickly what it looks like and without going into too much detail over the content. And so through the survey, there are 4 main sections. I will say the first one will probably take the longest on staffing and instruction. There's one on staffing and instruction. The second part we survey, I'll click here, partnerships, and in community engagement. And then finally, we have a section on budget and planning. And so to do a brief overview of each section, staffing instruction, we survey, if you're in elementary school, you'll be asked to report on minutes of instruction, percent access, and staffing. If you're a high school, this question will look just slightly different. We'll still be asking for course information, but we'll be surveying the disciplines and depth of your courses. And so within this module, if you are in a district managed school, we have already received information from CPS main office and have pre-populated your courses and instructors. If what you see is incorrect, you're free to edit response and edit anything that was in there. That is why we are really grateful for you to spend the time on the survey to verify our information. If, for example, this is not the only course that is offered, I can easily click add more courses and add them in here. And so throughout each one, you can just verify what has been pre-populated through our administrative data. Going down here, it's very similar for arts instructors. There may be pre-populated data if you are a district managed school, and you can edit responses, edit anything, or remove any teachers if they're incorrectly assigned, and you can easily add more. And so just going down here, I think I saw a question earlier about enrollment. If I am understand that question correctly, I think this figure may have been incorrect in the surveys, what they were saying. And if so, here you can edit it. If you don't have 300 students, I can edit it here, and the error is showing up because my top number is bigger. So you can edit anything that you see within the survey. Another thing I want to highlight is we have the ability to save responses after each question. And so if you'd like to save a response and then come back to the survey another time, just make sure you save your progress after each step, and then it will still be here when you log in again. You can also jump to different sections. So if there's a question that just you need to come back to, I, for example, have not filled out the bottom questions here. I'm just going to go over and jump over, not save my changes right now, and update my partnerships. If you have used artlook before, or a prior arts liaison has, you can actually import information and copy existing partnerships. So we are hoping that while initially inputting information to artlook may seem like a lot, you can leverage it year over year, and we are trying to help save some of your time by utilizing as much information we can from the administrative office at CPS. So again, just quickly, there's questions on budget and planning. And at the end, we do have some just quick checks on which questions are mandatory, and they'll be flagged here on which ones you have to go back and respond to. And then just some warnings just to ensure that you did see the question, you intentionally responded it as you did if you did, for example, leave it blank. And then finally, once you finish all the questions, you can click submit survey. It will clearly say your survey has been completed. You will no longer be able to click back into other sections. However, if there are anything, is there anything that you realize you inputted incorrectly? Again, email us. It's very easy for us to reopen the survey on the back end or make any changes as necessary. And so that, in a nutshell, is where you can find the survey and how you can fill it out. And we are still, of course, offering technical support or questions specifically about the survey through our shared inbox at artlook@ingenuity-inc.org. One final thing I just want to note that I'm remembering now, there are little pop-ups within the survey to help you if you do have questions on what exactly it's asking. So here, for example, there's just a little pop-up on what courses we would like you to report on. I do see a question from Natalie, just noting about no short response questions for arts teachers. That is correct. There used to be 2 open-ended questions about pandemic and remote learning. We have removed those questions this year. So the only other section I will briefly go over is the artlook map profile. This is not directly linked to the survey. However, this is really important to fill out because this is what goes onto the public-facing map and is what partner organizations will see when they go to artlook map, chicago.artlookmap.com, and are perhaps looking for schools to partner with. This also information is really important for us understanding as a sector where exactly Chicago's arts education landscape and growth and opportunities are. And so looking through here, your name should be pre-populated or included as the arts liaison, but if it is incorrect, please update it. This is how DAE, the Department of Arts Ed at CPS, uses this list host to contact you all. It's also the list host we use, and it will be the public-facing contact that partner organizations see on artlook. There's some questions about what kind of arts programs your school is currently offering, whether that's in school, out of school, or both. There's information about partnerships, and I want to highlight that we have this relatively new feature that rolled out earlier this year called the toggle, or as Courtney calls the toggle. And she helped really bring this to fruition based on a lot of feedback that we're hearing from both you and arts organizations. And through this toggle, you can indicate whether or not you're actively and currently looking for partnerships. This is how partner organizations can now filter on Artlook map. They'll show you in a few minutes on how they can see this. And you'll have a little sticker or badge on your profile indicating you're looking for a partnership. You can also choose no, so it's pretty easy here just to show you that you can toggle no. And that also means maybe you'll be receiving fewer emails from arts partners reaching out to you. So it's really important that you fill this out. This information will also feed into an upcoming feature later this fall called Suggested Matches, in which schools that toggle yes will be included as an automated match to partner organizations for when they're searching for a partner or searching for school partnerships. The last section is interest, and this is just information that partner organizations will use to look at what you're most interested in and seeing whether or not the programs they offer may complement and match exactly what your school has said that they are interested in. And so there is one open-ended question here if you would like to include more text, and this also shows up on your profile. So that's just a quick overview on the school portal. The other thing I want to highlight is Artlook Educator. So again, if you're an arts teacher, you should be given access to this. And here I will demo. I'm on a back-end site, so this may not be completely up to date on the content that we're going to see currently. But as an overview, this is essentially a place for you to connect with arts teachers across the district. Therefore, one area, we have the forum. This is where you can, similar to a lot of other social media websites, you can post different posts and comment on other people's posts. And so here, for example, we just look at a quick one. We have one about the human value of the week receiving. And you can see here that this functions as a lot of other sites and allows you to interact and collaborate and connect with other arts teachers. You can also, there's a few things that you can also filter for. You can look at topic tags, disciplines of posts, school types, if you only want to look at elementary school posts, and some other information such as sorting by newest, oldest, or most comments. You can also start a new discussion. So this is mostly intuitive, though we have heard that there are improvements that can be made on this platform. And so we are still actively trying to work on improving some of these features. As another element of Artlook Educator, you can join COPs here, communities of practice. And so these are open to anyone, and these are by discipline as well as the type of school that you are at. And so, for example, here, if I would like to join the elementary music COP, I can just join the community through Artlook Educator. And then you will be receiving notifications of other folks in your COPs are posting. Another feature we did have of Artlook Educator, what we commonly heard is that, I guess it was a little bit less common during the pandemic, but pre-pandemic is that teachers were attending events and had met other arts teachers, but for example, only remembered what school they attended or only remembered part of their name. And the directory here includes everyone that has an account on Artlook Educator and should be a fairly comprehensive list of all the arts teachers in the district. And so here you are able to search for a school. If I do want to look at Rowe Elementary, I can pull up, for example, you can see, I guess this one didn't go through quite right now, but we have Rowe Clark here, and you can try to find different teachers based on their name or school and filtering out by discipline, grade level, or neighborhood to find contact information for another arts teacher. You also have an area to update your profile. This is me at my big school, test school. And so you can also update your profile, include an image, include your pronouns, and identify, for example, what disciplines and grade levels you teach. And so this really, we are excited about Artlook Educator and are still working on trying to make this the best platform for you all to connect. And of course, as you may see, or we've heard in the past, there's been not too much engagement on the platform. Yeah, we know this platform is best made if as many individuals such as yourselves can also go to the platform and share with one another. All right, so that was quite a bit on the school portal. I'm going to hop back right now. So we have now gone through how to log in, a brief look at your school profile, Artlook Educator, and where to access the Creative School Survey. For the next section, we're going to hop to the public-facing map. And while you all do have accounts, I'm going to show you what you were doing on the back end when you log into your portal, how that shows up on the public-facing map. And then also, I'll show you how to look for arts partners and connect with them throughout the year. So going back, let's go back to chicago.artlookmap.com. So this, you can just type into your browser. And again, you don't even have to be in Chicago to be accessing this map. This is our public platform to disseminate information that you're inputting and arts organizations are inputting so that you all can connect with one another and form partnerships. And so here there are two aspects. There's schools and partners. And then also you see here, you can look at what school year. So for now, we're going to look at what you input on the back end and how that reflects on the public facing map. And so I will be using Rowe Elementary as an example. And so I can type that here and I'm going to be, there we go. We see Rowe Elementary at the top, and this is that badge or sticker I was talking about. So someone at Rowe Elementary is already logged in and toggle yes to that. They're currently looking for partnerships. And here right now is these searches get elevated to the top. And so they're prioritized and indicates to arts partners that you are actively looking for a partnership. So taking a quick look at their profile. As that loads, let's see if that goes through. There we go. Okay, so there's some basic information, including your arts liaison information that you're inputting, and you will be the public facing contact that is listed on the profile. There's some information about the school website, the CPS school profile, as well as your address. I'm going to take a quick look at a prior school year, 2021 and 2022. So for one, we have at the top, we're currently working on reformatting this. I will note this is your creative school certification, but it's from a pre-pandemic year. So 2018-19 right now. We're currently on revamping what shows up in this section. But the reason for this is that in accordance to SQRP guidelines, we have not publicly shared your school's creative school certification scores for the school years 1920 and 2021. And hence what's being shown here is a little outdated, honestly, right now. But let's skip through that. Everything else should be up to date. And so this is what you're filling out on the back end. If you recall, one of the tabs you were filling out was for interest, and that reflects immediately here. The moment you log in and make those updates, it will be reflected on your public facing page. And here, Rowe Elementary has indicated that they're interested at least in one sub-discipline in every single discipline here. And if you show, you can see like what they selected, and arts organizations will come here to look at if their programs that they offer match what you have listed you're interested in. Similarly, what you filled out for program types and resources will show up here. Now, what you're filling out for the Creative Schools survey right now will also show up on the portal. And so this is going to be from the Creative Schools survey that was issued, and this is based on pre-populated information, but will be verified by the arts liaison. So for 21-22, we have registered these arts instructors as well as their discipline and whether or not they're full-time or part-time. For program offerings, this also reflects what was being inputted and updated on your back end about what you offer in school and out of school by every discipline. So just click in here and you can see what they filled out. Courses, this is also based on your creative school certification, and you can see quickly what courses you've inputted and the number of students that have been enrolled in all of these courses, as well as the average minutes per week. Finally, we have arts partners. And so here, if you are interested in looking at even your own arts partners or what you've listed, you can click here and if you click on these, you'll be redirected to those profile pages. Okay, so this is what your page looks like now once you update your backend. As a quick overview too, we're going to show you how you can use artlook map to form partnerships and connections. So the second part of artlook map is going to be the partner portal, or the partner, I should say, the partner data that we collect. And so here you can use partners and switch it here, and you'll be also allowed to filter on a number of advanced filters. And so perhaps you already have a partner in mind and you'll look at more information that they offer. So I'm just going to look at Culture Shock Chicago. And I see here that they're actively looking for partnerships. So they've gone in and toggled. I'm going to take a look here. And so again, this is similar to your portal, as in they have a login account that they can update and provide information for. And so this is coming from their going in and updating their profile. Culture Shock Chicago has provided some background information. They've included a primary contact. And then if we go to a prior school year, here give me a second, 21-22, you can see a dashboard of what arts disciplines they've said they offered, what schools they have partnered with in the past, and also information about their programs. And so here, If you already have an arts partner in mind, you just want to see what information they have on Artlook, you can just type in that name on the public facing map, that homepage, and then find them here. And here you can see we have been including the information about their programs, where they include such as the program type, the program description, and subdisciplines, outcomes, and financial support options. So this is a quick look, about their profile. When we go to the homepage, I mentioned something about advanced filters. This can help you narrow down your search if instead you're approaching this of, I'm looking to partner with a music organization. I don't know any name in mind, but I have some parameters I'd like to include. And so here you can now include filters for partner disciplines, the number of school partners. For example, maybe you're looking for a partner that just has not had a school partner before, what program types they offer, what program disciplines, including you can select even very minutely like which subdisciplines, grades served, outcomes, financial support. So this can include a teacher stipend, discounted buses or no cost. And this is that toggle. So right now, as a just quick show, I'm gonna just look at Dan's organization that have toggled yes, that they're actively looking for partnerships. And so if I click search here, I have 27 matches, which helps me narrow it down. And perhaps I'd like to reach out to these arts partners. And what you could do is, I don't think I'll be able to fully show it in this same screen, is click export list. There will be a CSV file that opens. I'm not gonna open it because it's gonna show up in a different screen, but you will have a downloadable file, which you can reference that lists out all the contact information for every single organization listed in this search. So the 27 organizations, you'll be able to see all the disciplines, a name for the primary contact, the organization name, and an email address. And so that all can be a really good reference point if you would like to reach out by email. All right, so that is a little bit about the public facing map. As for that final thing listed here on how to contact arts partners, this is going to be using that primary contact that they listed. And so, for example, if we're looking at changing worlds here, it's going to be using, you can either click contact partner and it'll start up an email, or you can just personally use this email address listed here. Okay, so here, what we also want to talk about is Artlook year round. Oh, Courtney, I see you've unmuted. For Artlook year round, we're going to, give me a second. Year round, we're going to be discussing some things that we'd love for you to be looking at Artlook during our annual cycle throughout the year to really help benefit your work as the arts liaison in your school. So for here, we've talked about a few things. So this is going to be outside of the Creative School Survey. This is going to be outside of the CSF and applying for those grants. And we've noted, we've commented on this a little bit earlier of why updating your school's Artlook profile is so important. We actually have a dedicated slide for the reasons why on the next slide. So just give that a second. But it is really important that you update your school's profile, especially if your arts liaison is changing at your school. And also just making sure that partner organizations can see the most up-to-date information. You also can use Artlook Educator year-round to connect with arts teachers across the district. This is that forum, and it will be accessible at any time, and it will be granted to all arts teachers across the district. So I'll pass it on to Courtney now.
Thank you so much, Angela. So the next bullet here, actively using Artlook Map to facilitate partnerships with community arts organizations. So maybe right now you're currently accessing Artlook's public-facing map 1, maybe 2 times a year, or maybe not at all. Maybe you've only done it for the Creative School Survey, or maybe you're entirely new. But you might not think about it, Artlook, as a tool that can support you in connecting with arts organizations, but really that is another reason that it exists. That's another reason that it's designed the way it's designed, to help you connect and build arts partnerships. We have a bunch of arts organizations that just made updates to their profiles in the last year, and they're waiting for you to reach out to them. You saw a list of the 27 that Angela just showed you, but there are more than that. There are a lot of arts organizations that we asked to update their profiles because we said, you know, we're going to reconnect you with partnering schools. We want to boost partnerships. Partnerships have taken a huge dip in the last couple of years. We lost a ton of arts organizations, and a lot of them aren't sure how to get started again. There's been a lot of turnover, so we have new folks. So we really need your help to get those relationships started again. And that can happen on Artlook because you can make strategic informed decisions about who to reach out to. So maybe in the past you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to call up the arts organization that we worked with several years ago. But really Artlook is designed to really bring the arts organizations to your school that align with your school values, to determine who's available, to determine who's done some wonderful work in schools already, and maybe who are the organizations that are new out there that also have really compelling work, right, that align with what your school interests and needs are right now. Also, if you're not on there checking out their profiles, they're not going to want to have profiles on Artlook platform, and then we lose not only partnerships, but we lose a bunch of valuable arts education access insights that help us advance access to students, arts access to students. So with all of that in mind, we just want to encourage you to think about how much time you might be willing to spend on Artlook this year, reaching out to arts organizations and cultivating those relationships on the platform. So maybe that's once a month, or maybe it's just a handful of times a year, but setting aside time to do this is essential to kind of making this platform work for everyone.
Thank you, Courtney. And then just the last one, or the last two, which Courtney I've already touched upon. As part of your time taken to submit the Creative School Survey, we will be, as Courtney mentioned earlier too, we have an automatically generated school roadmap that will be sent to you and your principals, hopefully in December, but after we go through and clean our data on the back end. And this can really help you understand your school's data. It will show you how you compare to other schools and in your network, as well as the district, and also really gives you a really good pathway to understand how you can improve your school's Creative School certification score. And so finally, which Courtney has also already touched upon, which is a really big deal, is the data you submit goes to us understanding the sector as a whole, the arts education landscape throughout Chicago. And some more explicit ways that you can see this if you are interested is understanding Chicago's data through Ingenuity's data publications. And I've listed two here. I'm just going to do a quick overview of what each are. We have a relatively new one that we launched this calendar year, so early 2022, called Data Snapshots. These are essentially focused analyses onto a particular topic. For example, we did a demographics analysis in conjunction with the Creative School certification scores, and also an analysis on BIPOC representation in arts partner organizations across Chicago. And so these are shorter analyses that are on a specific topic that all can be found on Ingenuity's website. Thank you, Courtney, for dropping in those links. Additionally, something that you might be more familiar with is an annual State of the Arts report. This is something we've been publishing since, I believe, 2012, and every year essentially looks at Creative School certification scores and Creative School survey data for all of the schools across CPS and summarizing it into a public-facing report. And so if you are interested in looking at data across the sector and in the city, these are the two places for you to go. And so I think we've already talked a lot about the importance of keeping your Artlook profile up to date, but Courtney and I are still going to talk more explicitly again on some reasons why.
Yes, so just to go in again, another important reason to keep your profile up to date is so that organizations can contact you. I know that sounds kind of silly or straightforward, but we have a ton of arts liaison contacts listed on Artlook that are out of date, and we get a ton of bounce backs, and then arts organizations are reaching out to us like, who do we reach out to start these partnerships? Like, we cannot get the contact information that we need to actually reach out to the school. So that's an important point. So similarly, your school may not show up in the search results, as Angela was saying, without up-to-date information. So for instance, if a school is searching, so if a partner is searching by school discipline, interest, or program type, and you haven't updated those things, updated those fields on Artlook that Angela was showing you, that might be a missed opportunity for partnership and connection. And also, so Ingenuity and the Department of Arts Ed can also contact you. So right now, there are, we've had 35 arts liaisons attend today's session. We have a ton of schools in the district, and each one of those has an arts liaison. I'm betting that one of the large reasons beyond time and capacity, which we know is also a huge reason, that we don't have more folks here today is because we have outdated contact information and we can't even get a hold of them. So you're here, so clearly we were able to get a hold of you. So thank you for doing what you're doing. But if you can spread the word and other arts liaisons or teachers, have them update their contact information on the platform. I think it's confusing sometimes for folks. Like, they get put in these positions sometimes, like principal will ask you to be an arts liaison, or maybe you are the principal, and you're not really sure where to find resources or how to get started. And we want to create those resources, and then it's hard to connect you to them.
This is also number 4 is also coming through that roadmap that we keep talking about, but through artlook, as well as a generated roadmap, as well as your submitting information to the Creative Schools Survey. This all gives a way for you to understand your school's data to plan for the arts even better within your own school. We also have talked about the data that we use for advocacy. I think sometimes people either say that they already have a way to form partnerships and don't inherently understand the benefits of data sharing across the sector, and then also with Ingenuity. And so the data we do use is for advocacy. When CPS does have a question about some underlying Creative Schools Survey data, we provide what we can. And we do generally get a really strong response rate of over 90%. But of course, our goal is to really have a comprehensive view of every school in the district. And so that we can accurately give information to the city, to CPS, within ourselves, so that we can understand the landscape and really better tailor our supports for you. Finally, another good reason to keep your profile up to date is that this is involved in a future feature that is going to be rolled later this year. And so we have been calling this suggested matches or automatic matches. And these automatic matches will be showing up within your profile when you're logging in, and will suggest arts organizations that you may want to consider partnering with. And these matches can only be as good as the information you're providing. And so if the information, for example, your interests are out of date, we may be recommending our organizations whose programs don't actually match what you actually are interested in. And so we really are also encouraging our partner organizations, our arts partners, to be updating their information as well, and also use that toggle so that you can you will be recommended or listed also as a match to arts partner organizations if you're toggling yes. And so these are just a number of reasons. This is obviously connected to the Creative Schools Survey. The profile we're talking about is technically a separate section, but of course, all of that is really important in this ecosystem for arts education. And so we want to close out with, of course, an opportunity for you all to ask any questions. I think I saw a few in the chat that I have not yet addressed. So if there are any questions, you can either now put them into the chat or unmute your microphone and share with us what any questions you have are.
Hi, my name is Sheila, and I am the arts liaison for Uplift Community High School. And I noticed that on my school's profile, there are 2 people who are not at our school anymore. Do I email you about changing that information?
Do you mean listed as the contact, or do you mean within your survey, like an instructor or courses?
Listed as a contact, because I looked at my survey and I already started entering the actual people. But for some reason under the school profile, there's like 3 people listed and they're not here. They're not affiliated with the school anymore.
Then I would just update it. There's no need to contact us. And thank you for doing that. Actually, we would love if you just went in and updated that yourself. So actually, that would be great. So thank you so much already. It sounds like that you've been logging in and already starting the survey.
Hi, this is Natalie Davis. I'm from Beaubien. Thank you first of all, for hosting this. It's so great. I posted a question way back in the chat with regard to the current offerings in the survey. I was just wondering if you could clarify, for example, if there's like dance club, we have dance club, but would this be also pertaining to something, right, that, whereas, for example, if a teacher teaches a unit on dance history to 7th and 8th grade, and would you put that in school, or is that and like dance club would be out of school, but is this something that would qualify like dance history because the dance teacher teaches dance history unit to 7th and 8th graders, a 10-week dance history unit, or no?
I would lean on yes, though it is up to your discretion. I will say this is what shows up on your public facing page. And so this will be more of what arts organizations see. And so if you do believe that would be useful information for an arts organization to know, and it sounds like it is offered in school, I would lean towards selecting these check boxes to indicate you
Okay.
are offering.
Right. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. The music teacher and the art teacher and I all went over like, well, we teach this. So just wanted to clarify and make sure. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. I am going to also scroll back in the chat then and see if we can address a few questions that I may have missed from earlier.
I don't.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I don't see a raise your hand option, sorry. So I actually asked in chat, here's my boggle, okay? I'm gonna email you about our report from last year and all the discrepancies on that, because there was information generated that I never put in, and especially about the numbers, because we're only a school of 300 and we're listed as a 1,400 student school, which changed our scores completely drastically, because you're supposed to have one art teacher for every whatever for the scoring. So I'll email you about that. But the other thing is our budget, our CIWP, I don't have access to it. We have a new administrator. I don't even think they know where it is. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm supposed to answer these questions about what was budgeted last year for it if we don't have because the survey for this year is about, or the survey we fill out is what happened last school year, correct?
Yes,
if we
that's
don't-
correct.
So if I don't have the CIWP for the 2021, 2022 school year, I couldn't tell you what the budget is because that administrator is no longer with us.
Yes, let me answer your, oh, sorry. I think I saw someone else on mute. Okay, so I think I heard two questions. Let me address your second one first. Unfortunately, I don't have a good answer for that regarding the CIWP. I hear you, and this is not the first time we've heard someone express some similar struggles in obtaining a district or a funding figure to input for the budget. And so at least it sounds like you have gone to administration. We have usually recommended a school clerk should have the information. I suspect that you have tried that route. And if that does further to continue to be unresponsive or a barrier to submitting the survey, one, I might actually suggest that you email DAE at CPS. I can include an email address. They will, Ingenuity, if you're unfamiliar, does work in close partnership with DAE, but DAE will be able to give you more information on how to work exactly with your school's administration. And they know how important it is for you to submit this survey. And so I can include the email address in a bit. Those are my two first recommendations, though I know that doesn't fully resolve the issue. I will say as a last resort, you can still submit the survey with the figure of 0. And it is not great, but we can always, you will be, for example, rated as if you had no arts budget, which would be incorrect. But two, we can still update that information on the back end if you are hitting, for example, that September 23rd or 22nd deadline and want to submit the survey. So at worst, we can include that and update that in the future, again, pretty easily on the back end. For your first question, I am trying to think. Oh, you were talking about a little bit, I think of what you're referring to is the roadmap that was sent out roughly also last December.
Yes.
Okay. And you're saying the numbers look incorrect. So I don't know if this is exactly what you're looking at. I think you're looking at the staffing ratio is my guess, and you're saying the enrollment number there, it might be like 1 to 1,400, and that looks incorrect. If that is what what you're talking about, the way that ratio is calculated, if you have non-arts or classroom instructors, those only count as a portion towards the staffing ratio. And the reason is we still want accredited or credentialed arts teachers teaching these courses. And so every non-arts or classroom teacher you submit on the survey, which is included in the appendix of that roadmap, is actually only given 0.1 towards that staffing ratio. And so I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're referring to as, and that might be part of the reason why that ratio, that denominator, that 1,400 is looking a lot higher than your school's actual enrollment. However, I would say I will pull up your roadmap separately, and we can also discuss this over email too, and I can definitely address if there are any discrepancies. I can still update it and recalculate your score and send up an updated roadmap to you and your principal.
Yeah, I'll email you the data that it should have been by Monday.
Got it. Thank you so much. And I'm happy to hear that you've also gone over your school's roadmap. And if you have any comments or thoughts on that, feel free to include that in your email. So thank you. I see a raised hand. Andrea?
Thank you. I had a similar discrepancy. That evaluation we got back, I think it was last fall, from our whatever you call it. We did during the pandemic, we did a remote session with Dancing with Class, and I put that in the survey and it didn't show up. And I think it said something about we haven't used any outside people, or that's why we were downgraded or something. And we actually did use an outside partner. So that was just, it was a minor thing, and there's so much other stuff to do during the day that I never brought that up to you guys. So last year we didn't use one, but this year we're looking into folkloric dance. But the thing I want to ask is, it seemed like it was a challenge to make all the people that I had to deal with. I finally got one teacher to work remote, and it was a challenge to get permission to use her because to get her CPS approval. I mean, that getting the license and everything, she didn't even come into our school. It was still remote at that point. Getting everything, I dotted and, T crossed was the biggest challenge, I think, for me. To get, because she had to have a CPS email address to log into our system to do dance class with kindergartners. That was the challenge. So that's the thing that I spent so much time on, just trying to get that set up.
Yeah, are you talking about, if I'm understanding correctly, are you talking about Dancing with Class as in it's an arts partner that you had?
As an arts partner,
okay.
yeah.
I might have Courtney hop on and talk a little bit about that. I can address just the first thing about the roadmap. If there was a discrepancy, again, email me, we can update it. And just to make sure there's no discrepancy for the 21-22 roadmap that will come out in December, you can just add in the partnerships when you're filling out the school survey. So make sure you're including, I guess, Dancing with Class or folkloric, and then you'll be given 4 points, I believe, on the Creative School certification that will show up on your roadmap.
I put them on for this last school year, even though it was the year before. Is that what you're saying?
So if you want me to correct the prior roadmap, the prior roadmap was from 2020 to 2021.
Yes.
I can do that pretty easily on my end. I'm just saying, as a future, looking to make sure that the 21-22 roadmap does not have a similar error. Just make sure you include the partner organization in the survey as you complete it. And that is I did in 2021. Okay,
that's why I was bummed out. That didn't. Okay, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I don't think we deleted. I will take a look. Then I apologize that there is that discrepancy, and I will take a look on our back end.
Okay, or something happened, but I did put it in. Maybe I erased it. I don't know. But anyway, that's a minor thing. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. And then Courtney, I don't know if you have any.
Can you repeat the partnership question again? I'm sorry.
I was just, I had put in the 2021 year that we had used a partnership with Dancing with Class in that survey.
Mhm.
And it didn't show up in the evaluation that we got last fall. And it said that I had no partnerships or no outside agencies in the year, a review of our 2021 year, and we did. And that's,
Okay. So I think that's the same thing that you just addressed, right, Angela?
right.
Yeah, so
And
okay.
Okay.
the other thing, we're not gonna be
Good
doing
thought.
remote anyway.
Okay.
Are all these classes gonna be remote, in person now, these partnerships?
I think that's up to the discretion of each school. They're really
Okay.
able to decide at the school level whether or not they want remote or in-person
Okay,
programs.
thank you.
I see another question then in the chat about the budget for supplies per school. I'm not sure if I fully understand this question. So let me take a stab at answering it, but if this is incorrect, please you can unmute or add more text within the chat and I'll see if I can address this. And so has it always been that the budget for art supplies not from CPS but Ingenuity? If I'm understanding correctly, I think you're referring to the Arts Essentials grant for supplies and materials. Maybe I am reading that incorrectly. That grant typically comes from the Department of Arts Education. So that $1,000, once you complete the survey, will be automatically loaded, perhaps late October, early November, as long as you complete the survey by September 23rd. That traditionally has come from Chicago Public Schools and not Ingenuity. However, there are separate grants that Ingenuity offers, and that's the Creative Schools Fund, so the CSF. And when you're applying for some of those grants, for example, the partnerships grant, there you can write in your grant application allocating some money to supplies and equipment or materials. And so it depends what exactly you're referring to in this one. CSF
Yes, you answered my question.
Go ahead.
Yes,
Thank you.
you answered my question, sorry. So yeah, I was just a little confused. So basically, the budget does come from CPS essentially.
Oh, you mean the figure you should input for the survey?
No, I just mean, I guess like the money in general, like is it from the CPS like art department?
Yes, it's going to be from CPS and not Ingenuity then.
Okay, gotcha. I was just curious.
Got it. Sorry that I completely misunderstood that, but so the answer is yes.
I think also I wanted to say that a lot of times the budget is determined by what each individual school gives you as well. So your principal pretty much determines how they use their discretionary funds.
And I'm sorry, I have a question too. Two questions. One regarding the budget again. Would you be able to go to that page in the survey?
Yes.
Thank
Right
you.
now. Right here.
Right. So it's right. So it would be like based on your school's population, there's a certain percentage of money that needs to be set aside for the money. So it's how much right there. And it was what everyone is questioning, I think, how much funding did your school dedicate? So I just don't want to answer the question wrong in terms of like where the money comes from, because we also have money that comes from our PTO and things like that. So if that's not considered where the school, so where would that be money that comes out directly of our school budget?
I think, okay, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, like what the principal would designate a side that's obviously separate from PTO or separate from our LSC?
So for this question, you can actually include PTO or LSC funds. The goal of this question is, maybe I should offer some context on what we use this for. And so our goal through the Creative School certification is to see how much schools dedicate to the arts. And there was a recent change to this question. I don't know if you answered the survey in prior school years.
Yeah, because last year we got
Yes.
totally knocked down because I answered the question incorrectly. And so our score got completely knocked down and my principal was really upset and I was too, because I answered it wrong, and because the wording changed, everything changed about it too, so that's why,
You-
yeah.
You're correct. So in some additional context for folks who may be new, in 1920, or sorry, excuse me, I think in 2021 school year survey, we changed the wording from district funding to funding. And this was talking to CPS DAE that they encouraged us to give credit to all money that schools are allocating as in or dedicating. Like this includes again what I was saying with LSC and PTO, and that has changed. I am sorry to hear that you were penalized on an incorrect response. I guess for everyone's information too, it is really easy for us, Ingenuity, to update any figures on the back end. And so if in December, when that roadmap comes out and something looks incorrect, email us and we can update it. If you submit the survey and you realize you input the wrong figure, email us. And again, it really takes us maybe like 30 seconds to update that figure on the back end. I really—
You mean for last year's?
Yes, I can do that too, actually,
Okay.
very easily. And if you did receive some pressure from the principal, I can send an updated roadmap. I know it's a little out of date now, as in it will be from the 2020 to 21 school year, but I'm happy to send that to both you and your principal with the
Yeah.
updated figure.
That would be great, because that's exactly what happened. It was the wording, and then I looked at it and I was like almost in tears, because I mean, it literally dropped our whole entire score. I was like, oh no, and I didn't realize it. And yeah, it kind of it made, so this year I wanted to like double check and make sure that I did it correctly, and trying to be honest.
Oh,
you
no.
know, so
I'm so sorry to hear that. So thank you for
Yeah.
being so diligent, honestly, for really caring about your school survey and the underlying data. We really appreciate you and your time. And I'm really sorry to hear that you're almost in tears. So we can definitely make that change very easily on the back end. And as some context too, I know you all receive a lot of emails. So within that roadmap email, I believe Julia de Bettencourt was the one that sent out that email last year with your roadmap. Within it, Julie and I continue to meet with arts liaisons and principals when they wanted an updated roadmap. And so we easily can, I guess not right, I shouldn't say just right now, but like in the future too, if you see an error, we're more than happy to make that update and have a conversation with you and your principal if needed, or just you.
Okay, so I mean, if I update it in the road, I mean, I have recently, just when I went on for the survey, recently this, you know, this in the past week, actually, I've totally updated our roadmap and everything. I think there was one thing that I needed to do and I couldn't because it was like frozen, was the population of the students for some reason.
Oh, that's interesting. I think I know where so you're talking, if I'm understanding, you went to the survey and it's this denominator. Is that?
Yeah, that was correct. And now I'm talking about the actual roadmap,
Oh, okay. Is this
our
for
profile.
okay. Are you talking about the staffing ratio then on your PDF?
No, no. Okay, so I don't know if you're saying that I needed to update something on our on the Bobian profile. But
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Everything on the application is correct. Like they have the number of students, that's all correct and up to date. It was just actually on Bobian's their roadmap profile, you know, the school profile. I was actually trying to update that, and the population was set. It was a blank. Yeah, this where I was. This page here.
So for which population are you referring to here?
So it was. Let's see. That's a good. Now I'm like trying to steer mine like I can do my thing. Number, not this here. It was, let's see, that's a program offerings. Not sure where, actually, quite frankly, is it done? Maybe I'm not sure where it was, but it kept saying 0. It was where I was actually trying to maybe it was wasn't the profile. I'm sorry, but it was somewhere where I was actually trying to update the information for Bobian in terms of the population. And like when I would click on the school data population, it came up to nothing. Maybe I'm mistaken in talking about.
Oh no, how about if you find the screenshot again, how about you send
Uh-huh.
us an email too, and then we can address that too. So when
Oh, okay, thank
no
you.
rush to figure
Sorry,
that
I
out
don't
right
mean
now.
to take over, but yeah, great. That sounds wonderful after the weekend. Because I definitely want to take care of that last year's certification. That would make me feel so relieved.
Oh, we can definitely help with that. So
Okay, thanks so much. Okay.
no, thank you. I will give it a moment to see if we have any other questions in the chat or by verbally, and then we'll see from there. I guess we still have 15 minutes technically allocated or allotted for.
Yeah, but I just want to jump in, and Angela, I think to your point, we're super accessible at Ingenuity, so we will definitely get back to your emails. So you can trust that. And so feel free to send us an email at any time if you see a discrepancy or you have a question. Definitely reach out, and we'll get back to you pretty soon thereafter. And Angela, I think we're also going to be hosting some office hours, and I think there's going to be one planned for this month where you can,
Yes, sorry.
yeah, where you can come ask some more of those granular, specific questions, technical questions about the survey or about CSF or about anything else that you might have a question about in terms of your role and artlook map.
Yes, so I'm gonna just highlight also again, if you want to note these down or go to Ingenuity's website, if you have CSF questions after you finish the survey, or I mean, not after, but for when you finish the survey, here are the times again for the 3 CSF info sessions. We will be hosting a separate general session on whether or not that's about the Create a School survey, how to access artlook, if you have an educator question for whatever reason, or a roadmap. We will be trying to host that the week of September 19th, before the survey deadline of September 23rd. I have yet to pin down an exact time for it, but we can email everyone who attended here today to let you know whenever that session time gets set.